you're tripping over each other, trying to please everyone, whereas sometimes that doesn't quite work. We always just try and think, right, how efficiently can we do this? And it's better for everyone to do it as efficiently as possible. It's the communication, I think, that just has to echo through everyone. I've been into buildings before, started a project, no one knows it's about to start. How long has this been going on? And that makes everyone's life easier. Giving someone bad news 3 months in advance is much easier than 3 days in advance.
Hey, welcome to Space by Stansons. Today I'm talking to Warren Bragg, contracts manager at Ambit Moat. And I'm cool with this one. I'm looking forward to it because, as everyone knows, Space, we're generally talking to designers, design community, like head of design, end clients, that type of thing. And we rarely talk to like the projects, the nuts and bolts side.
Okay.
But we're trying to do it more. Like, it's just what Space, we're trying to do it more to kind of bridge that gap, because there's so many conversations from a design perspective and like a concept and wouldn't it be amazing if, and then like you guys are out there with sky hooks and
making it happen.
So I really from a Space perspective and like the growth of Space, I really want to bring that kind of construction side, how we could think more from early doors, like how we could think to maybe support the end delivery and all that sort of thing. So welcome, Warren. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
No, good. Excellent. So Warren, you've been contracts manager at Ambit for
3.5 years.
3 years,
So
yeah.
4 years in May this year.
Yeah, okay, cool. So you've been on your journey. I don't know, what does that look like in a nutshell, like getting to where you are today?
Started as assistant site manager for a mains contractor, fairly small mains contractor, and then just sort of worked my way up the ladder. So I've always been on site. I left there, went to CBRE. So I worked as a project manager for them. So project manager for them is almost like a one-stop shop. We were tendering, pre-con, you'd run your own commercials, you'd deliver and the projects and then do everything at the back end. So it's quite a good learning curve to do that. But I did it during COVID. So it was a funny time to be doing anything. We were still key workers. So we were on site doing bits and pieces, but it's kind of a funny transition. And then I left there, I went to ISG and I worked there as a project manager for about a year and a bit. Then I moved over to Ambit.
Were you part of the whole ISG?
No, luckily I was about 2 years ahead of that. I heard a wish that. No, I didn't really.
You felt it coming.
It was just time for a change. A few people I'd worked with at ISG had moved to Ambit, and we'd had a really good working relationship, all site-based guys. So the opportunity came to go across to Ambit. So I joined Ambit as a PM again, and then worked my way up to contracts manager.
Wicked, that's amazing. And what's one thing that you know today that you wish you'd known?
I think it's just, and everyone would probably say this, but I think it's just never assume. I think prior to being in construction, I kind of had sort of hands-on kind of work, where you're kind of relying on yourself. And so you've done the task that you've been set right or to the best of your ability, etc. Then you start managing other people, and the assumption is, well, I'm looking at the correct drawing, he must be looking at the correct drawing, and that may not be the case. And it's the same with things get delivered, everything comes in a brown box. Are these the lights for this room? Probably. Just assume they are. Up they go. Oh, they're not the lights for this room. So it's that kind of learning curve of where we now have kind of these, rigorous paperwork, which everyone would say there's too much paperwork in construction now. But I think it is necessary because it's just these checkpoints, hold points to make sure what we're doing is correct. Things get updated. Technology helps a lot. We use online portals now. So, for the site guys, they can only get hold of the latest drawing. So that really,
that's cool.
They shouldn't be working to anything old. Obviously, if it gets printed, that's a different story. But everyone now, if you say, can you get the drawing, and it's on your phone. So it's quite good to kind of keep those portals updated. That way everyone's working from the most recent information. So I'd say, never assume that someone is doing what you think they're doing, because chances are there's something's gone awry somewhere.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But is that quite a lot of admin, Warren? And does that fall on you, or how does that look?
So we have document controllers. So the online portal, anyone on the project has access to that. They get added to that as soon as they join the project, and then they'll be trained to how to use the software, and then it will just be very easy, like click drawings, you'll find the drawings. And then the on-site teams will only see the latest drawings, whereas back of house we can see previous versions where things have changed, those sort of things. But then also we use those to interface with our health and safety. Obviously that's a massive part of construction now, so all the health and safety documents get uploaded there, so any one of our health and safety advisors or directors can check that all the documents are in place,
and
that just rolls on through everyone in the business, really. So it is a good system. Like paperwork from when even 10 years ago when I first started, the paperwork is definitely taking over, but it's a necessary evil, I think.
It is, but it's like when you get those emails through these projects, like, can you look at this package or whatever, and it's just like drawing and registers and registers and registers. It's just like it can be quite overwhelming for someone, especially when they're coming into the industry. It's just like,
it's a lot. It is a lot, and I guess so. On bigger schemes, we would reduce that down, so someone might only look at a couple of packages. If you did walk into a huge scheme and like look at everything, it's too much.
And your lesson, like, never assume, did that come from like a really bad experience or multiple little things?
Not me personally, but there has been times where I've seen sprinklers been activated because someone assumed something was turned off or something wasn't live. So those sort of things are kind of things you hear about, you see, oh, I assumed he did it.
Yeah, okay, well, that's I've just got this picture of this like almost finished Cat B office, and then these sprinklers going off.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't that far. It was right at the beginning of the project, but it's still obviously the knock-on effect of that. It's just, did someone check a permit? Did the building manager know? Did the site manager know?
Yeah.
Did the office know? All those, like I said, there's checkpoints, hold points to make sure the processes are in place to eliminate those assumptions. But when those routes don't work, or there's a missing link, that's when the assumption, like, measure twice, cut once, is, now it's almost measure 3 times.
Good old fashioned sayings, they work, don't they? So as a contracts manager, like at Ambit, what does your role actually look like from a day to day, like, or a week to week?
So I oversee our kind of smaller special projects, I guess you would say. So I have site-based teams on several different projects.
So how many have you got at once?
4 or 5.
Okay.
So of varying size and degree, and then I just try and spend a day where I can on each one, or half a day where I can. Some are quite close to each other. Yeah. Just to drop in and just, do people need support? Are contractors not doing what they said they would? Are there any health and safety issues? Have there been any instructions? Have the client made any changes that we need to pick up? Does anything, need recosting, re-reviewing? Have there been variations to the contract that we need to review? There's quite a lot of that. Things sometimes end up in the grey, and whose responsibility that might be. We have to kind of navigate that to kind of come to a head, and then really just supporting whoever needs support to push to get the project to the finish line on time, on budget, and with a happy end user.
Yeah, it's a lot to across 5 sites. It's a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a lot of people, and again, that goes back to the assumption. So you're kind of checking in. I asked last week for X, Y, and Z to happen. Did it happen? A site manager might be looking a week, 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah,
and you might have a PM on that project who's looking for 6 weeks ahead, and then I'm sort of there to be looking 2 months, 3 months ahead, because I'm moving this project to an end, and then also, where's this site manager going to work next? What project's coming up? Where's the PM going to go? Who do we need to orchestrate for IT moving around and kind of logistics? And so kind of, and then obviously above me, the directors are looking 6 months ahead, looking at the pipeline for next year and end of year targets and stuff. So that's where I sort of slot in.
Yeah. What keeps you up at night?
Health and safety. As I've moved slightly further away from site, being the kind of number one on site, it has lessened, but that is the big one. There's always something. It could be really minor. There's a trailing lead. Everyone knows it's there. Everyone stepped over it all week, but someone could trip on it. So you do have to pick those tiny things up. Some of the projects we're doing crane lifts. We're shutting streets, shelling a building, taking floors out. There's structural supports everywhere. And it's always just, and again, back to the assumption thing. We put all the props in. We've got to check they're all in the right place. We're putting the steels in now. We've got to check they're all in the right place. The steel says it's going to be 3 meters. The opening says it's going to be 3 meters. Has anyone checked it's 3 meters? There's all these little bits and pieces that just have to be captured. So the health and safety is a big one, because it's just, sites are always changing. Mm-hmm. You can come in on a Monday, the site is empty. By the end of the day, wall's been put up. There's bins been put in the way. There's things moving. So suddenly your exit route is different. All in the space of an afternoon. So then you've got to update paperwork. Do the site guys know the exit route has changed? And it's all those little things. Should the worst happen, you don't want anyone walking the wrong way. So it's all those those things are mainly what I think about. Like I say, the scale of them always depends. So when you're doing big structural projects, there's more things to think about. There's more bodies on site. There's more chances, I suppose.
Yeah, no. And it's just responsibility when you're people. And it goes back to people, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And lives. And it's just like...
the biggest one for me is if we've said something's going to take 2 weeks and in reality it takes 3 weeks, but everyone's going to do it safely, it'll take 3 weeks. There's no point trying to rush. Someone will have an issue. Not necessarily, life-threatening, or it might just be a cut finger because they put their gloves on because they were rushing. They still have to go get that addressed. It has to be logged, noted. Check up on them a couple of days later. Are they okay? Was there any repercussions on that? And then all the paperwork. Why didn't he have his gloves on? And all these sort of things. Whereas really, if everyone just uses the time sensibly, takes a breath, normally, touch wood, things go.
More haste, less speed, or whatever the saying is.
Exactly. There's all these old sayings that are very helpful.
They come into my mind, yeah. No, fair enough. How do you, I'm just going off on one here, but how do you, keep yourself organised and that sort of thing? Do you use apps, or are you just naturally, notepads, or
I did
diaries and things?
I did say this year I might start writing stuff down, because I normally just have it in my head. I'll set my diary up, normally at the end of the week, looking ahead for the next week.
Your Outlook calendar.
Exactly.
Sort of
just as easy as that. So today I knew I was going to go to one project, then the next project, then I'm coming here, then I'm going to another site visit.
Yeah.
So that's kind of structured my day, and I'll do that for the whole week. In meetings, normally we have minutes taken, so that's kind of just refer back to those. That's quite easy. But yeah, action list. Normally, if I've got a lot going on, I just send myself an email.
Yeah.
Just bullet points, everything I need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, this year I think maybe I might start writing stuff down, because it's just there's a lot. And plus, you're always in front of the computer then. It's quite nice to put pen to paper.
Yeah.
For what I do, I'm always emails and drawings and stuff. So
yeah, so you're laying awake at night and you can.
But yeah, there's no. I can't give anyone any tips on any clever apps to say this will make your life easier. I've done things like Monday in the past, but it's just another thing to check. I found, so I kind of sort of faded away from doing it. I think. Well, the biggest tool I think in the past few years, WhatsApp. Everyone, emails, you can email, but everyone's got a phone in their pocket. I know it's got email on it, but sending a quick WhatsApp is quite easy. You don't really have to format it. You don't have to put a header. You don't think, who am I CCing in? It's just like, hello, Mr. Site Manager, this is the problem. Send.
Yeah.
And it's done. And you think, at least I've told him. And then even if it's a bit jumbled in what I've said, I'll see him at site and he'll go, what's that message all about? Or come back to you straight away. Site guys should be on site, so they don't tend to be in front of their computers all day. It's back of house tend to be in front of the screen, so they get their emails more frequently maybe. So I just think, WhatsApp I think has actually been pretty handy. And even I take photos on my personal phone and just WhatsApp them to my work phone.
Yeah. And
it's even that, it's just a little memory jog.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So if you ever find a clever app, let me know.
Yeah, no, I've just actually, from doing the podcast, I was talking to somebody who uses OneNote, and every single thing they put that every day they have a OneNote that they just jot down what their key tasks are, or daily notes of meetings or something. Which it sounded quite cool. But I can't say I've proved it yet. I'm definitely getting into it slowly, but I think those things build, don't they? You don't just the magic spanner. It becomes a habit, right?
I worked with a really good head of services, and he was OneNote. And he had everything there, and because he was on multiple projects, each one had a screen. They were all laid out exactly the same, and it just becomes routine. Yeah,
it's about building that in, isn't it? I think I'm a bit of a WhatsApp though, because I just love that. I know emailers as well, like you said, but it just seems to be heavier. But I love how you can I've got a notes chat with just myself. So I just send stuff to the guy's notes. I just send it to notes, and then I'm just pictures, like you say, straight away. Then it's on your laptop, and you just,
exactly.
You've got it. It's a bridge between mobile and laptop, isn't it?
It's funny actually. I got a new laptop, and I said to the guys in IT, "Can you put WhatsApp back on it?" And we don't normally do that. I was like, I don't know how anyone else does it. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Just it's on your phone, ping. Done.
And you can just search. It's got the best search thing on it. That's got my driving license.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone needs to see it. I'm like,
your documents.
It's just everything's on my guy's notes. It's just a living feed of
So yeah,
life.
so that is definitely
work.
a key tool, and normally 99.9% of people have it.
Yeah.
So it's so easy. If you started using a Monday or something, you've got to say to everyone else, "Can you download this? Can you start using this?" And you're kind of almost forcing people, and then people don't buy into it. Whereas everyone's got WhatsApp.
What are like 3 like really smart VE value engineering hacks you've seen either on site or you've done yourself?
Lighting always gets VE'd.
Okay, interesting. Funny this has come up, but carry on.
I've done a few projects where either an architect will have designed or they've got a lighting designer in, and they do sort of want the world, and lighting can be incredibly expensive. So unfortunately, when the clients and the QSs are skimming through the numbers, that number tends to pop because it's always quite large. There's so many different suppliers out there that people don't know about, and people are able to mirror other things. There's new tech coming out. You can whittle that number down, but still get the same effects, feature lighting, spreads of light and everything. So there's ways and means of making that work. We did a project where I had a really long light recess through a corridor, and it was a really busy corridor, and it didn't work. And they said, we got to change all this light. And it was a massive upheaval to try and take a ceiling down, take everything out, put a new one back in this live area. And so one of our electricians just said, well, of an evening, we can take all the internals out. You can leave your shell. We'll send it away. They'll remake exactly the same light fitting to fit back inside, and you can just click it back in, and back in an evening. And we did that. And it was much more cost effective because we didn't have to rip anything. We didn't have to do any facilitating works, and we didn't impact the kind of the stopping of the reception space. So all those kind of costs and impacts and people's days and things kind of all went away. But the problem is as well, on the other side of that, you go into an office, it's got grid lighting, it's got these panel lights. Currently, it's not sustainable to rejig the gubbins and make it work again because they're so cheap to manufacture. Feature lighting, those sort of things work, but for kind of your bog standards, it's like changing a light bulb. You wouldn't send a light bulb away to have the filament put back in.
No.
It's
just crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's one of them. So yeah, lighting, I say, is probably the biggest one. Close second is furniture and finishes.
Okay.
I think.
Or just like finding alternative furniture that looks pretty similar.
Yeah, so one of our sister companies speak to all the supply chain, and a client might
platform.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, go ahead.
So they might say, okay, in our current office, we've got this furniture, and they'll know, okay, that brand, that brand, that brand. So they'll speak to that supply chain. Okay, they're moving offices. They want to match the bits and pieces, and then you can give that number, and they've been in that office for 15 years. Obviously, prices have all gone up. The budget's huge. It's too much. What can we do? But because we're speaking to everyone, okay, well, that you can get in this version. It's a slightly different finish, slightly different color. You can make more of a feature of it, but it's going to be 50% less. And so just by those sort of things, again, it's another big number that everyone sees. And that's the other thing, it's easy to whittle down. You could probably VE anything to a degree, but it's a lot of effort. Paint is paint. There's not really many places to go. You've got your high ends and your low ends and your middle ground, but the scale of change isn't that much. Whereas, you can buy a chair for 200 quid, you can buy a chair for 2 grand, you can buy a chair for 20 grand.
Yeah.
Big numbers.
It's a much bigger number, right? Yeah. And also just the total number on furniture and fittings is a very different number to like paint, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's probably the biggest two. And I guess the other VE what kind of we do internally, we have our sustainability team, and every project we go in and say, right, what's being left? What can we reuse? What can be repurposed? One project, we just rejigged all the glazing they already had. So we didn't...
Like the partitions, you mean?
Yeah. So all the glazed partitions and the doors were on site. Just the client wanted to change the layout. So we just carefully took everything down and stored it, did all the other facilitating works, and put them back up.
That's amazing.
A different layout. And then all we did was paint the doors because the frames were black and I think the doors were timber, which is a bit out of fashion. So we just sprayed all the doors black. And that's just a massive, because someone else might have walked in and said, right,
out,
all it goes, and we'll start again. It's awkward. Sustainability is awkward because we had to store, meters and meters of glazing. We built 5 offices, I think, and 2 meeting rooms and a Zoom room. So it's quite a lot and you're tripping over it because, you don't want to take it away and bring it back. But, instead of just bringing in brand new and skipping, it's amazing.
It's that fine line, isn't it? Because it's like what you're saying about the light bulb. I totally hear that. Like sometimes it's not even commercially or sustainably viable to necessarily keep the old, like on the light bulb example, but then it's a bit of a fine line, isn't it? Because then it comes to a tipping point. Like if you manage to save all that glass and actually generate a cost saving for the client, and then it's also, that's when sustainability becomes really attractive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like it's
yeah.
a cost saving, and it's reducing waste, and it's reducing landfill, blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh, okay, now we're on the money.
Yeah,
but it's like that's a bit of a balancing act, right?
Yeah, and I think our in-house team find that quite a lot. You know, if you're moving materials about, there's all those associated costs to make it sustainable. Who's picking up that cost to transport it from one place to another, to take it down, to put it back up, and then how many guys you need to move it, and then it's almost, like you say, it becomes the easier route is just get new. Do you have to change the design slightly to make it work? Is it a worthy change, or is that going to not give the desired look, the desired feel, the desired finish, because you're just trying to shoehorn something in? But it's it's all for the better if we can keep. Yeah, so raised access flooring, you can, put an allowance in for new, but a lot of the time the guys will sell reconditioned. So it can be cleaned, or the glue gets taken off, detacked. Some places do Cat A fit outs with one idea in mind. It never happens. They take it all out, so it's almost brand new. It's not worth throwing. They can store it and you can bring it in quite cheap, and it fits, that sort of stuff's quite standard.
Yeah.
A lot of the times offices change the layout, so you don't need to replace the whole thing. It might just be you're moving floor boxes, so you can either reuse the ones that are already cut, or you just need to infill some cuts. So there's all these little clever ideas that sometimes people don't think about. They just think, no, we just need to make the floors 100 square meters, put another 100 square meters in, but you don't need to. So those sort of sensible conversations are easy wins for everyone.
Yeah.
And
is that what sustainability pick up for you?
Like so they come in
viable kind of balance.
Yeah, they help come in at the start of the project. What's been left, even what furniture is being left, even if the floor don't want it, the new end user doesn't want it, but we might be able to use it as our welfare and our site office. There's no point chucking it in a skip and me hiring in some stuff. There's a perfectly good desk there. So there's all those kind of little things up to the glazing, like I said, or if there is sensible furniture. Can we reuse it, or can we find a charity? Can we find a school? Can we find someone to reuse it? Otherwise, unfortunately, construction, a lot of things do end up in skips. Although, recycling centres are much better now, and they can divert things from landfill, but we'd always try and go for reuse first.
They can actually be surprisingly difficult to find. What we've found, because we do get quite a lot of, on a different level, obviously, but we get quite a lot of waste in fabric in terms of either mismeasures or clients change their mind, like after it's been made and it goes in, actually we want a different colour, and or like roll of fabric and then it'll get discontinued. You're like, it's like good fabric. It could be made into things, and or I don't know, whatever, like curtains for a house where someone can't afford curtains. But that little gap between the need and us, and probably maybe what you'll find as well, it's just kind of needs a little bit more work.
And there's storage as well. If you kept every scrap, you'd have millions of meters of it, and then you would never find anything, and something would be at the back, it'd be forgotten because you wouldn't get logged, and that is the middle bit where it's like, how do you make that efficient to work? The dream is you have this surplus product for whatever reason, and then the next day someone takes it. But that wouldn't happen. It never happens. It's like, oh, I might need it in about 3 weeks' time. Can you store it? Maybe. And then it just gets disjointed, and it doesn't happen, and you're left with it, and you think I'm not wasted this time. I've tried, but it didn't go anywhere, and that's got to go. So I do think if they can slim down the gap, but it does sound mad because there are people struggling in all different walks of life, and you think someone would love a set of curtains, but you can't knock on the street down every door and say, do you want a set of curtains? By chance, are your meters 2 meters by what?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Everything's to a degree kind of bespoke once it's gone in, and you just have to find that. So we were like the glazing, that worked because we were moving on the same floor plate, so the ceiling height didn't change, and we had enough to rejig and made it work. We might have to build a little plasterboard nib, but that's better than ordering a whole new wall. So that's kind of an easy win. But when you get into the when a site's got one chair, it's quite expensive, but it's a specific colour. How long do you look
No, makes sense. But it does come on to another question I had for you, Warren. How do you think construction is going to like change over this year or the next 12 months? Like, what are we going to start to see becoming more normal?
Well, I think we can't avoid AI. Not necessarily on the delivery. I mean, I've seen robots that will mark out floors for you and things like that off the drawing. You know, that sort of stuff. You know, that's fine. I don't think
Is that coming?
Bigger schemes are using them. Definitely bigger schemes, but I don't think smaller projects it's worth it, because for the guys to still get their lasers out, mark it, put them up, it's quite easy. I mean, the good thing about that robot, you can set off at 8 o'clock at night and it will just do its thing, and by the time everyone comes back in the morning, the next floor's marked out. So it's quite clever, but I think scaling that up might be, or even scaling it down to for smaller projects, probably quite difficult. But I think in terms of AI for the drawings and stuff, I think we'll see a lot more visuals and kind of Matterport scan, immersive. Clients can kind of almost walk a space in a 3D realm ahead of kind of delivery, or picking colours, picking samples. You can kind of get a bit of an idea. You know, normally the visual will be like from one end of a room and then the other end of the room, and you kind of get a bit of a feel of what it'd be. But I think there's going to be more in the day-to-day. You'll see more of this kind of immersive. You can, you know, either spin on your computer screen around a space like a Matterport scan, or you can chuck on a pair of goggles and kind of walk a space. And how does it flow? How does it work for your business? You said you want an extra meeting room, but it's a bit isolated from the other meeting rooms. Kind of just take a walk. And so you think that works, and you kind of get that idea. How many times you look at a drawing and you think, what a huge space, and you go there and you think, it's tiny. Or vice versa. And then you know, the architect design team think, okay, we're trying to shoehorn too much in here, actually, because it feels a bit more cramped. On a drawing, you can't appreciate ceiling height. So I think there'll be more of that kind of tech brought into the day-to-day, whereas things are advancing, where it's becoming more accessible, not as costly, more expensive. They can get done quicker. I think all that kind of generated by AI will help.
Is that something that will come into your like realm, or do you think it'll be more like client design kind of stages, or would it come into the construction build stage?
I think for now, probably stay more design client side. But even now, if we have visuals produced at tender, we will have them printed on the walls on site. Like, this is the end goal, just to kind of help guys kind of get that idea. I think before they were kind of used at tender and then kind of disappeared into the ether. But now it's like, okay, this is the end target. It kind of helps steer onto the kind of goal.
Yeah.
It gives an idea of the kind of quality of finish expected, the kind of use of the space. So yeah, I think it will slowly creep, but for now, I think probably still on the design side. And then there's always new ideas, but it's just the ones that stick. There's always more. We'll see more sustainable products. Well, hopefully we will, where the market will accept the higher prices currently for more sustainable products, and then once they become more accepted, then the kind of costs will hopefully level out, and they'll become more frequently used on site. More, you know, you can recycle plasterboard. It costs more, but it's more efficient. You know, better for the environment. So that's good, but it costs more slightly currently.
Mm-hmm.
If that changes, then that's all for the better. There are more sustainable paints out there, but again, they're quite niche. So once the bigger companies pick them up, then they'll roll out, and it'll all be for the better. But yeah, it's just trying to finding the ones that stick currently is the hard thing.
Yeah, I do find that with construction. I mean, obviously, I've been in it and around it, right, from a child, if you like, and it's quite slow moving in terms of evolving, isn't it? And in a way, like how things get built, like goes back years and years and years and years, right? Like not just my lifetime, but like way. So evolving and innovating in that is there is innovations, of course there is, but the actual underlying sort of methodology and sort of practices kind of do end up staying the same. But I'm quite excited about AI, like you talk about. You're looking like 3 months or 3 weeks ahead or whatever, to be able to see what that space looks like there and predict any issues or changes, or I think that could be quite a support.
Yeah.
For contracts and project managers and client everything. But yeah, I do feel that construction is quite slow moving in terms of adopting and adapting.
Yeah, I think, and that's probably because it's so fast paced. Like, you almost don't have time to stop and think, is there another way to do this? It's like, well, always did it this way, we'll just carry on doing it that way. So it's kind of finding the time and the right people to kind of go, well, you could do it with this product this way. And you also need, for that, you need the buy-in from the client to say, okay, well, let's try it. Let's give it a go on this one scheme. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll have to bite the bullet, unfortunately. Then that's the other thing. Eventually, someone's got to pay for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what do you think is the biggest challenge in delivering a project, like for you? Like, I know we touched quite deep. Well, we've gone quite deeply into some streaming, things. But what's the challenge in delivering a project like that? You talk about time and money.
Yeah, everyone wants things done as quickly as possible because obviously it's the most cost-efficient way of doing it. So we try and do it as streamlined as we can, and we look at where the efficiencies in time are, and then it's getting the buy-in from the building managers, the facilities teams, the on-site engineers, that we've done this multiple times, and if you can just, I don't know, if you have a building that's got 2 entrances, okay, if we just cut the building in half, and if you can ask all of your staff to go around the back for 2 weeks, we can knock out the front and then we'll swap it round. Whereas they might say, oh, can you do it lengthways? And then you're tripping over each other, trying to please everyone. Whereas sometimes that doesn't quite work. You're just trying to look at, we always just try and think, right, how efficiently can we do this? And it's better for everyone to do it as efficiently as possible. So it's always trying to manage expectations of end users and people within the building. And it's all, it's the communication, I think, that just has to echo through everyone. To, the people who work in accounts on the 8th floor need to know what you're doing. I've been into buildings before, started a project, and no one knows it's about to start, and you're about to shut their reception for 6 weeks. And they're like, how long has this been going on? And you think, well, it's probably been the conversation for like 3 years. But it just hasn't echoed through the building. And that makes everyone's life easier. Giving someone bad news 3 months in advance is much easier than 3 days in advance. So that's kind of a thing. We try and be as accommodating as we can, but ultimately, if we can work as efficiently as possible, then we are in and out of your hair. You've got a shiny new building. Everyone's happy. It's nice and easy.
It's really down to communication, isn't it? That it's kind of, the news is the news, and people can handle it if they've got enough time to absorb and get used to it and go through the emotional roller coaster if there is one. Or
yeah. And we say that from the very start. We'll have town halls. We'll get everyone down. We'll do newsletters. We'll sit you down. We'll walk through the drawings. We're happy to do that all up front as well. But by the time we're on board, we might be starting in 4 weeks, whereas the design period has probably had a duration of a couple of years, 6 months, longer. You don't know. It's just to get it to that point. So it's just I think just the spread of information is just definitely key to managing the expectations, and normally that helps. Just everyone's kind of mentally prepared.
Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? I agree. I can see how that is. I think one of the things for, like you touched on time, it kind of almost conflicts, doesn't it? Because you're talking about sustainability and like kind of almost needing more time to be sustainable. And then you're talking about how the whole Amazon effect, where everything comes next day, and now we're expecting buildings to be refurbished next day, and like no disruption to my life. I want my burger in 30 minutes on Deliveroo, and I want that whole like kind of rapid pace that we work at, and that instant gratification, that kind of instant service, and that we're totally used to. And trying to communicate out that construction isn't like that, and why it's not like that, and how we will be. It's quite an uphill battle in a way.
I think, like we said, like we were talking about earlier, WhatsApp, email, you can just share information so quickly that people think you can answer them instantly. But, there is time needed for thought. I've missed all the well before the generations where, an architect was pen and paper and just sketch something out, and then, get the rulers out and all that sort of stuff. And all right, I'll post it to you. It doesn't happen now. You just send an email, bang, got a new drawing, right, we're doing this now. And like you say, all these other things in our lives generally where it's instant, it comes into the workplace, and then you just think, lead times are only getting worse. I don't know why. Hopefully they'll change. But you sort of, in your head, think, okay, that'll take about 12 weeks to get here, and then suddenly it's 14, 16 weeks, and then that's your program. Is you might as well just rip it up and start again. You're just constantly, the program is correct until the first day you're on site, and then it's like, right, that's all changed, start again. That lead time's changed, start again. That lead time's changed, start again. So that is, and again, it's people managing, pleading on the phone. Is there any chance you can reduce the delivery time? Is there any chance you can install it slightly quicker? And then that goes back to but we still need to do it safely, still need to do it correctly. We want to do it once. So it is just always, you're just juggling and spinning plates.
How could design really help you deliver on time and on budget? Like, what could do at design stage to help contracts?
I think if they're like, start sharing like standard details early, because a lot of the time a curtain track is probably quite standard, but if it's like recessed and it needs to go in before the boarding and no one's really aware of that, it doesn't get programmed that way. So then suddenly, the site will think, right, all the ceilings are in, all the windows are finished, right, let's have a look at curtains. And then they'll say, well, that's got to be recessed. And it's like, and that's not just curtain, curtain walling's the same and moving walls is the same. I know there should be a track in there before we do that. Oh, we need grounds to fix to. Again, no one assumed you needed grounds to fix to. So suddenly it's like, right, how can I not destroy the ceiling but get some ply up there so someone can screw to it? So I guess it's those little niche little things that maybe the guys on site wouldn't think about, but the supply chain would just do it day to day. You don't even think about it because that's what you do. You go in and you fix to this because there's always that in there. But again, if it's not communicated early, it gets kind of missed, doesn't get programmed, whereas the program will just say complete ceilings, install curtains, for example. Whereas it would be get head track in, complete ceilings, put the curtains in, and then you've just got that phasing as it should be.
And it's all stuff that's really simple, that's done in the right time. It's a bit like your light that you took out of reception area they mentioned back at the start. Like, it was really easy to put that in at the time, but then to rip it all out and put it in, it's just like a totally different ballgame.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Everyone who does their own job, you can do it with your eyes shut to a degree, and you just assume everyone else knows how it's done. But when the guys on site are doing the same thing all day, every day, it just becomes second nature, but not necessarily the next person in the chain knows those little nuances that need to be done. So I've cut ceilings open before to put ply in, to get fixings in, where we could have just done that before the ceiling went in. So communication, managing the process, not knowing that little thing, but they're all lessons learned. So next time, if it's happened to you, you'll go, do you need anything in the wall for that? Do you need anything in the ceiling for that? All these little. I think the first time I put a microwave in, they put the socket behind the microwave, and then the microwave wouldn't push back. So going forward, don't put the sockets behind the microwave. Don't put the sockets behind the dishwasher. Don't put the socket behind the washing machine, because 5 mil can break your heart.
There is so much, and then no projects are either the same. I know you've learned that lesson on no project, which is great, and like kind of you're always finessing, if you like, the perfect project, and then tomorrow it will be the next thing, and it's just how you just can't overshare or over communicate. It's not such thing.
Exactly.
In such a busy world where people are getting so many emails and so many messages, it's to try and, from our perspective as well, is to try and deliver like really meaningful, valuable content in a way that's easy to digest and forward on and share. Or do you know what I mean? So it's like, again, juggling balance.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting from a design perspective how we can help contracts. It's good to know. It's good for our team to know as well. So, and what excites you most about the future? We're rolling into a new year, by the way. We're recording this on the 5th of January. So, what's the most exciting about?
Probably going back to what tech, all these AI things is going to help that sort of bridge that gap of sustainability. What more sustainable products are we going to see that are available to people at sensible costing, sensible lead times that will obviously benefit the environment, but still give the end result that people want. Products have been phased out in the past because they're not sustainable, or bad for your health, asbestos, for example. And, alternatives were found. So it's like, how do we keep doing that, with the goal of everyone's aiming for sort of 2030 net zero carbon reductions? It's like, what can we bring in as a kind of a messy industry, which is definitely getting better, but there's always room for improvement. So I think, it's kind of seeing what kind of trends come into this year that we would kind of have been talking about, and now it's more of a accessible commodity.
Amazing. Thank you, Warren. Appreciate you coming on, sharing your experiences, your journeys, how things are going to change. And from a design from myself sitting on the design side more, it's great to have those conversations and like bridge, again, it's just communication, isn't it? But to bridge that between the two, like the vision and the on the site and making it happen, and to bridge that. So thank you very much for joining. It's been great to chat.
Perfect. No, thank you for having me.
Excellent. And if anyone's on and we're talking to more contracts managers, any suggestions, contracts, pre-con, commercial, we want to hear. So in the meantime, like and subscribe. The algorithm will do its thing, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.